I'm back with another journaling video, and in this video I plan to talk about hand lettering. Someone had asked if I had practiced a lot with hand lettering to get to the point where I'm at, and if I did that, did I do it in a separate book? And when I first began my journaling journey, I guess, I knew that I wanted to start adding some variety with my writing, but first I focused on my handwriting, and I'll probably talk about that in another short video in the future. But I also wanted to add hand lettering, and I loved watching videos of people doing these beautiful flourishing letters and talking about faux calligraphy and all that. And I did get into that for a minute, but I didn't keep a separate book where I practiced my handwriting. I just did it all here. So there is a progression through my journals of my hand lettering and the different styles that I use and kind of what I really do now for the most part. But I try to keep it super simple, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So I'm not really going to show you necessarily like a method. I'm just going to show you how I do it, and it's very, very simple. And you could add variety to your journal pages using what I'm going to show you like today. And it'll look pretty good, really. It should look good. So, well, good enough. Let's put it that way, good enough. So I will start off by saying that when I began to hand letter, I did use some outside sources to kind of guide me along and how to make the shapes of the letters, but I didn't do a lot of practicing with that outside of just what I did inside my journal. So I'll show you some examples. I mean, you've seen my journal pages, but I'll show them again. So when I write headers like this, I do it in a variety of ways. So mostly I'll show you. I have some blank paper here, and I have this really obnoxious looking desk, or a flat desk. So I'm gonna show you. So the three main markers that I use are Tombows. We all are familiar with these. And then these Crayola Supertips are super inexpensive and helpful. And then I also got into these Sailor. It's rubbed off, I can't remember, but it's like Sailor is matching their inks with these markers. And this end is a point, and this end is a brush pen, just like the Tombows, only it's a finer point, and actually a finer brush too. So when I mean finer, I don't mean better. I mean the tip is finer. So if I'm going to try to achieve this look like this header up here that says December, all I do is just take my Tombow brush pen, and I don't even do anything special here, except for that I learned that you can add variety to your letters by putting, see, I can't even talk and write. By like these E's here all look the same with this little mark towards the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing with that B. Okay? And with the R. Okay, so that's it. And then if I could do it again, and I could put those little lines, whatever they're called, down here, adding variety, a different type of variety, just a different look, I guess. So then I'm going to have a big B. And that alone adds, you can see the difference in the two. The key that I took from whoever told me this was that if you're going to concentrate your letters up at the top, do it all the same, and the same with the bottom, do them all the same, so there's consistency. And then okay, so that is one way that I add that variety. And then I have the big header, but then I might have the small, I'm just copying this up here. I might have the small numbers, or I might do a big number for variety. Now, because I kept my letters concentrated down here, I'm doing the same thing with the numbers. See how my 5 has a little bump down here as opposed to like in the middle. Okay, so there's that. Another way is, okay, I'm gonna move this aside and try to find another example. I will often just cursive with a little flair the day of the week. Or sometimes with day of the week, I like to do block letters. Let's see if I can find that. And my suggestion is just to practice. Okay, okay, there's the black letters. So both here, both of these pages have an example on them. So this is an example of when I don't write a whole lot. Monday, December 23rd, I worked, kicked my butt, enough said. That's all I journaled that whole day. Okay, so I'm going to copy this Monday and just show you how simple it is. I'm just going to use my gel pen actually to do this because it looks like I use a fountain pen there. So here, this is a Quaco Dia 2, and it has a Pilot G2 refill in the middle. Jet Pen set me up with this, this beautiful combo. Like if it wasn't for Jet Pens showing me all the refills that would go in this pen, actually I looked for the refill first. I searched Jet Pens for the refill and all the pens that refill would fit because I love Pilot G2 gel pens. Side note. So here I'm gonna write Monday like this. I'm just using capital letters. I might even stretch it out a little bit. And there's not much to that. And it adds like a definite different variety to the look in my journal. And now I'm going to show you a little trick on how to get these bubble letters like this without being like, without knowing a lot of how to do it. I'm just going to use a Crayola super tip and I'm going to write that word, work. So I'm kind of pushing down with this marker a little bit so that I get a wide line. And here I didn't do anything special. I just wrote the word work. I'm going to go in and kind of thicken up some of these lines with my Crayola super tip marker. These are pretty wet. So, okay. I'm going to let that dry for just a second. I guess I could show you why that dries. While that dries, I can show you this Sailor pen, or Sailor marker. I bought these because I'm so like a diehard Sailor fan, so I thought they must be wonderful. They are pretty good. They definitely have a different feel. It took me a bit to get used to. This paper that I'm writing on is actually Tombow River paper, and there's this drag with these markers on there that is a little, takes a minute to get over with. And I don't know why. Like, Sailor, are you really trying to make a point? Like, your pens have a lot of feedback, so then your markers have to have a lot of feedback? Because I love the feedback in the pen, but I'm not a huge fan of the feedback in the markers. It's taken some getting used to. I have a lot of them. Okay, this way I'm just going to add a little bit of variety with these letters by thickening the line all on the left side. Or I could add variety by thickening the line all on the right side. And then, this is dry up here, it should be. This doesn't look that, I mean, this doesn't look that great, but what I'm gonna do now is go over and I'm gonna make this look like a bubble letter by just tracing it. And I'm not even tracing it perfectly because there's nothing in my journal that is perfect. So, of course, this won't be. But see how I achieve that look? Super easy. Now, I'm going to go back in and fill in some of these blank spaces like this. Just like that. And now I have a bubble letter, well, a bubble word. It looks like I did the gel pen first, but I didn't. I cheated. I could go back in here and you could do the same thing here and just use a marker to actually go over just like this, just adding some variety of color if you were so inclined. Maybe with a different brighter color. Okay. So that's how I add some variety to my lettering in my journals and keep it fun and interesting, the pages fun and interesting to look at without having to add a whole lot of effort. This one didn't really work out like I expected it to, but it's okay. Okay, and then I will also just cursive some things. So I have said before that I will, so here, this was just a little bit that I had written about my son coming over and talking to me and whatever. So, and then I wrote my heart. So this is like, it stands out on the page. It has some white space around it and it draws your eyes to my heart. And I think it makes it easier to read as well. Someone had mentioned that someday people won't be able to read cursive. I totally agree, but they'll have to read some of my journaling because I do some cursive. So here I had written in block letter, and then in cursive I wrote Christmas Eve, and then I wrote in cursive here, and then I wrote in block lettering and some bubble lettering down here. This was a disaster. I had taken I don't know, like whatever I use, my little dip thing that I use to swatch ink, and I had tried to write with it. It was sort of an experiment, and this is fountain pen ink, very, very thick fountain pen ink, and it leaked through. Well, it almost did. It did actually, I think, on the other side, and so I covered it. Yeah, see, it went through, but I didn't care that much. It was an experiment that I didn't do again. I know that you've all seen. Now here's another little doodle I wrote and how I took my lettering and turned it sideways. And then here's that example again of how I capital lettered January, and then I just made Friday a little more drawn out and a little thinner. So with this I had used the brush pen of the Tombow, and then I had used the other side for this. So let's see, what else can I say about that? Here's another big one. I think I just wanted to use up some space. I had journaled this day and I was done. Yeah, I was done writing. So I had this much left and I could have filled it with stickers or washi tape, but I just wrote snow days. So I think that's about it. I just use my big hand lettering as variety, like I mentioned. And then my handwriting, I'll go into, my handwriting has progressed like I think anybody's would with practice. But I'll go into another time about how my handwriting has changed over the last 5 years. So anyway, I'm always looking. Here's another bubble thing I did. Smudge. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about that. I know that wasn't probably an extremely interesting video, but it was just something I wanted to talk about and share with you. Anyway, would love to hear your thoughts. I'm always on the lookout for new ways to hand letter and like new methods to learn. It is difficult to learn somebody else's style, I think, but I think that you can get ideas from other people. This lady, Cindy Gwenert Baldo, she's on YouTube. And she has this little doodle book, but she also has a hand lettering book. I believe that she said that she has done hand lettering at like Trader Joe's, like on their signs or whatever, like sign art. And she's got some really nice, this one is her doodle book, and her handwriting book I loaned off, but I did some fun stuff. So there are resources out there. I've done some fun stuff with her work, but there are resources out there, and you could just pick up anybody's that you like how they write and just practice a little bit. But I encourage you to practice in your journal, just, like anywhere, choose like maybe a heading. And so if you think about it, I have written December, just this book alone, 31 times. So that's a lot of practice right there. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Thank you.